So today is September 8th, 2025. Welcome to Prime Hour. We are so happy that all of you are here. To get started, please use the chat to introduce yourself and share where you're calling from or anything that you would like to share with others. One of the things that we encourage you to do during Prime Hour is to also share a contact information, perhaps a LinkedIn profile, or if you're comfortable, share your email address as well, because we are here to build community and to get to know each other and to learn from each other. So don't hesitate to share and connect with each other as well so that you can continue the conversation outside of Prime Hour. And more people are joining us. So welcome, welcome. And yeah, LinkedIn profile is probably the best way so that you can connect and continue the conversation. So welcome, everyone. It's wonderful to have you all here, and we would love to have your participation, your engagement, whatever comes up for you. We would love to hear from you and your insights in this conversation. We put as the theme for today. The title that Amy and I gave was How Coaching is Evolving and Why It Matters to You. So let's start with that. When you hear that title, what comes up for you?
AI. Technology.
AI, yes, AI. It's a big topic right now. There is a lot of AI showing up. It not only for coaching, AI for everything.
And all the misconceptions around it and how sometimes it's amazingly inaccurate.
Yes, it's an evolving technology, so definitely AI. And we have here on our list of things to talk about, definitely we're going to talk about AI for sure. What else? What else comes up for you when I read this title, How Coaching is Evolving and Why It Matters to You?
I think there's been so much change right now relative to our current administration um and I think I've just noticed an evolving lack of understanding of what coaching really is, that it's not a fix it. That's
Wonderful, Kristen. So thank you for that. So for those, I think that Kristen, you're talking about specifically here in the United States, how the political scene can change and shift our perceptions and how this affects the profession. Yeah, we live in the world, and the profession we talk about, and in our competencies, which is another topic that we were going to talk about here today, we talk a lot about context. And the political context, the cultural context, all of this will influence what happens with our profession, and will influence where the profession goes as well, because we are here to support our clients that are living in this context as well. Yeah. What else? Anyone else? All right. So we have a couple of topics that we would like to address here. First of all, is around our ICF Core Competencies. How many of you know that today the ICF is releasing a new version of our core competencies?
I did not know that.
Yes. So the ICF, which is the International Coaching Federation, who is the gold standard, that's how we label it, the largest coaching organization around the world, has a set of standards and for the coaching profession, and these standards were created by the coaches around the world, by the 60,000 coaches that we have, members of the ICF. We came together and we created the standards for our profession, and periodically the ICF comes together and selects a small group of coaches from a diverse population of the ICF, from coaches all around the world. and reviews the competencies to see, like, is it still current? Do we need to tweak anything? Do we need to change anything? And today, this past year, the ICF has been working hard with reviewing the competencies. And today they released a new version of the competencies. If you pick up the document that the ICF released with these edits, if you're familiar with the previous version, you're not going to see much of a difference. So, which is a good thing, which means that all of these competencies that we have been working on so far are still very valid and still very, very brings a lot of value to the coaching conversation. Mostly what has changed is just a couple of words or a couple of terms that have been clarified and adding a few more points to consider. But conceptually, nothing really changed. Here is much more of a refinement of language. Okay, so the 8 core competencies remain the same, just like the sub-statements that you have in each one of the competencies. Some of them have been a little tweaked as far as language. So nothing for you to relearn or redo or change. It's just a question of bringing us a deeper understanding of what these competencies are about. Any questions about this, or insights or thoughts about these competencies? Yes, Cindy.
I think the competencies are very important. I think it's part of what sets us apart. Being with ICF, it allows us to have something to look at and to kind of prove our professionalism, rather than maybe another program that has something that's just like, okay, you can do a few day seminar and then you're a coach. And so I think this is just a way to help us stay in that professional mindset, but also gives us the guides to do that.
Fabulous. Cannot agree with you more on that. Our profession, as we keep saying, is a self-regulated profession. So it's crucial for us to have some standards. Otherwise, okay, I'm going to be a coach and I'm going to do whatever I want. Or I have enough experience in being an executive or being a salesperson, and because I have enough experience in this particular field, I'm just going to tell myself that I'm a coach and I'm going to start actually mentoring others in that particular field. So having clarity of what it means to be a coach and the expectation from everyone who calls themselves a coach to follow certain standards is imperative for us. It's imperative not only for the idea of bringing the same level of standards to our clients, but also ethically speaking, because then we are able to, as ICF certified coaches or members of the ICF, we have a code of ethics that we abide by.
And Elias, I think that Cindy's opened the door here for the topic, another topic we wanted to, and it dovetails perfectly into this, and that's about the labels we use as coaches. How many of you have struggled or are still struggling with, what do I call myself? Executive coach, sales coach, all these things, all these labels we have. And I'm sure all of you who have put up, the money to get trained professionally, to go through certification for many of you, all of this, then you go online and you see somebody who's calling themselves something. And when you go down the rabbit hole, they've had no training, no background in it, whatever. I'm sure you've all had that experience, right? Which leads us to part of this conversation about one of the things that I think we do as coaches, because we don't have licensure. This has been a thing for a lot of people because we don't have licensure in coaching. We don't really consider ourselves professional coaches. And what keeps all of us from saying, I'm a professional coach? Because when all this was created, it was to create a profession, regulatory board, core competencies, way to measure the efficacy of those competencies, all body of ethics, all of these things were to create a self-governing profession. And yet everybody struggles, and I know it's usually through a marketing lens. What do I call myself? But what really does keep it? I'm going to put the question out to you guys. What keeps us from saying, I am a professional coach? And let that be the distinction.
I think it's watered down. You know, so many people are using the terminology. I think there's a stigma right now around the use. And I find that I push to use it at all costs, but I'm reading the face of the person I'm saying it to. And I have not mentally gotten over that challenge, even though it's the language I'm using just feels like out in the space we're in currently, it's received with it's received I don't know how it's received. It's received many ways, I think. So I think that's part of the challenge.
Give us just a little hint, David. Like,
I think it's received with curiosity and maybe a sense of sort of I think it's just because of the lack of credentialing for so many, and because so many are throwing around the term, it feels incomplete, and people are wondering. It feels I'm missing the word, and feel free someone to, if you're having this experience, step in. But I definitely feel it, whatever it is.
yeah. No,
I think, just to say, I think this is a good topic because I have recently felt myself feeling self-conscious saying I'm a coach, because I do think that the profession lacks legitimacy in a way, because if you say you're a nurse or you say this or that, people know you've been through some rigorous thing versus just calling yourself a coach. So I do think that saying I'm a professional coach or I'm an ICC, or maybe there is a way to say it that doesn't feel like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Cindy, I saw your hand there.
So I recently met with someone and they did not know what a coach was. And I was really surprised that, like, in today's world, how do we not know? And this is someone who is a little younger as well. And so I think part of the issue is that it is marketing, but it also is, as Zoe was saying, where people know a nurse is a nurse, or how do people know the difference between a therapist, a mentor, a coach? And then how do we prove that we are a professional coach? And so I know for me, getting credentialed was really important. And it was because I felt I needed to feel professional. And does that mean other people know what a coach is? Not necessarily. But for me, it really helped me to distinguish. I have done some training. I have done some testing. I am with a professional umbrella company, or, ICF, that does the regulation. So I think a lot of it is still that people don't know what a coach is.
Yeah, and I think that you're making a great point there. And I see Robin and Mary's hand here. Let me just make a comment here. Anyone who has gone through the process of certification with the ICF knows that there is rigor and tremendous rigor, right? So legitimacy exists. However, people don't know yet. And this is what we are still working towards. Definitely today, we have a lot more, the people know a lot more about coaching, especially in organizations. People know about the coaching profession. They know about the ICF. They know what's happening there. More and more organizations are asking for not only that you have an ACC, but that you have at least the second level of certification with the ICF, which is a PCC. So there is more knowledge of the rigor that exists within the industry and all of the work that the ICF has been done in order to bring standardization and ethical standardization as well for the profession. However, we have to acknowledge that the profession is 30 years old or a little bit more than that, and there is a lot to for us to do as far as making the public aware of all the work that this organization and coaches in general are doing. So there is a lot of work to be done, especially because since we are a self-regulated profession, a lot of people go into calling themselves coaches without going through the rigor of a professionally trained coach, and it muddles the water even a little bit more, right? That's for sure. Well, lots of hands up. Robin, let's start with you.
Thank you, Elias. Aloha, everyone.
Aloha.
Honolulu, Hawaii. I resonate very strongly with what I've heard so far from David and Zoe and Cindy. In my coaching journey, and I'm in my 6th year now, what I am learning is that it's much closer to how my internal sense of confidence and how I personally identify with myself as a coach. In the beginning, it was a lot about getting trained and getting certified and having the alphabet soup after my name and all the different organizations I was associated with. But what I'm finding now is that my greatest potency is with the client that I am working with. And over time, as I've coached more and more individuals and teams, I have no hesitation whatsoever with sharing that I'm an executive coach. And the way that I am expressing that now is with so much more confidence than in the beginning. And it doesn't really matter to me if the perception of the person that I'm talking to considers it a profession or not. My sister is a psychologist and an educator at one of the universities here, and my stepdaughter and her husband are both psychologists. And being around psychologists that have the degree and the credential and the licensure, I can tell you that there is just as much a wider range of competency in their profession as I know there is in ours. So it's become less of an issue for me about the perception that other people may have of the fact that I'm a coach. But when I communicate with others about what I do, it is with the most amount of confidence today than ever before. And I'm sure that that'll probably grow into the future.
I love what you're saying there, Robin, because a lot of the sometimes even insecurity of us of sharing, I am a coach, comes a lot from our that we are still building a confidence in ourselves and in our own skills. There is a lot of that. And the more we feel confident and the more we see the results that are happening with our clients, like, of course, yes, I am a coach. And this process works. And I am so confident about that if people have any questions about it, I'll be glad to explain. But I know that this works. And I know of my identity and I know of the work that I have done to become not only a coach, but a professionally trained coach that follows industry standards and follow the ethical guidelines of a major organization that has representatives all around the world. That's a fantastic point there. Mary.
I think I'll agree with what David said. There's some curiosity about when you mention that you're a coach. I often just get the simplest question. It's like, what do you coach? Like, people are genuinely curious. And, sports might come to mind, for some people initially, but then the other side of that, so I get that a lot. The other side of it is, I think it goes to context, because in the business world, I work primarily as a career coach in professional development. Coaching, I think, is well accepted. Coaching is foundational as a high value tool to get people turned around if they need turned around, people to be high performers, and to help them get to the next step, people to help with succession planning in organizations. So I think context really matters. I think in some other small businesses might not have any idea what coaching's about, or maybe they work with business advisors, very different than what we do. So I think, what's our environment? I was one of my former students from the executive program at Kellogg. I found out that she was a nutrition coach, a health coach. And I asked her a very specific question after she graduated. Can you help me with nutrition and diet? Do you do coaching around that? So like, you find out what somebody's niche is, and then they tell you their story and all of the, credentials behind it. And it's like, yes, sign me up. I need help with this.
Thank
So
you, Terry. Yes.
I think context matters.
Context matters for sure. And that's why I mentioned that, in organizations, it's much easier and much more understood and known what we do as coaches than outside, for sure. We are in this stage of the industry for sure. And the goal here, as we continue to evolve, is so that there is more understanding of what the profession of coaching is, regardless of executive leadership, nutrition, health, coaching, what coaching truly is when we are talking about the profession of coaches. David.
Yeah, Mary touched on it, but my humor to it is that I often get, football, baseball, volleyball, which one are you? And so I think it's just going to come with the turf because of this strange, appropriation of this word that means a lot of things to a lot of people. But the most discomfort I get is when the relatively unfamiliar person that might not have a lot of experience with it catches on that I'm not a football coach and then says, "Oh, you're a life coach." And that makes me squirm. So I've decided just to let people, as long as they're in the ballpark, sorry for the sports reference, as long as they're somewhere in the ballpark of what I might be doing, then I just let them have that. And if they want to talk more, then, I'll go into detail. So it's kind of getting comfortable with how people can recognize me, even though it makes me squirm a little bit. And that's what I've decided to do. And I just tell people, yep, I'm a coach, or I'm a leadership coach, or whatever. And the more you do it, actually, the easier it gets. That's my 2 cents.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Yes, we are still in the beginning stages of a profession. It's a brand new profession. 30 years is nothing. So people are still catching up. People are still understanding. People are still understanding the value of it. So we, all of us, regardless if we have 30 years of experience in coaching or if we are just coming into the industry, it's our job to educate ourselves, to educate each other, to educate the marketplace in general, the population of what does it mean? Actually, today's episode of Prime Space, Amy and I are talking about, what is coaching, and we talk a little bit about the distinction and what is fundamental about coaching, regardless of the little label that we put before the word coaching. So
I just have a funny story to share. When I went in to take my PCC exam, which many of you may know is fairly rigorous. It's a long process, and it's a lot of questions. And when I came out of the test, because it's time limited, the guy who was monitoring, he's like, "You are PCC!" Like, he was so excited. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know his background, but clearly he knew the rigor of that test. Clearly he knew that. And when he celebrated my passing of it, that was phenomenal. So that's one thing I want to say is like, we don't even know in some ways the breadth of our, I guess, how known it is to be certified as an executive coach. And in my current organization, they make it clear for me to say I am a certified executive coach. And that just goes a long way. Like, I don't remember who, but like naming it, saying it, doing it makes, oh my gosh, a lot of difference. But that was, I just want to share that story.
Thank you. And congratulations, Kristen, on again on your PCC and everyone.
It's up to, it was because of you and Amy. Just saying. Just saying.
So I
And
would like to
everyone here
capstone
in
this.
this room that is certified, congratulations. You went through a rigorous process to get your certification, and it's something to be really proud of. And there is more to come, right?
And I would just like to capstone this before we move on to our next topic, in that it is up to all of us. I've been in this 30 years, so do the math. Nobody knew what this was. Nobody. I spent the first 10 years in this industry trying to tell people and educate them about what coaching was. And here I am 30 years later, still doing it, but I have a lot more at my disposal to do that with now. There was no ICF, there was no ethics, there were no competencies, there was none of this. So we were just out there, hot dogging it and hoping people would bite on this great idea we couldn't explain. Now we have all this stuff to talk about. And we have the word professional to put in it too, because make no mistake, you guys, this is a profession. It's an emerging profession, and it's up to us to make it legitimate. It's not the other way around. It's up to us. We got to continue to educate.
Each one of us, absolutely. I long for the day. I'm waiting for the day when I'm going to say, I am a coach. Nothing before, nothing else. I'm a coach, and people understand what I am doing. So let's work towards it. Eric.
Hey everybody. I just wanted to comment on well, all of the comments I think are just so spot on in terms of the way that some people perceive our profession, the connection to sports, and the miscommunication or misunderstanding of the role that we play, and the I also think like the hierarchy of where a coach fits in their lives, because oftentimes when you do think of a sports coach, there is an elevated status or some sort of an authority role above the player. And it's kind of like, who is the coachee in this? Are they a player and somehow subservient to us as the person who's telling them what to do? And I think that so there's a misperception often there, but I love what Amy's talking about the idea of professional coach. I happen to coach in real estate, and you've got, I mean, the coaching world is full of people who don't know what they're doing. Real estate, I think, is just elevated or heightened with people who really don't know what it is to have the coach approach or to understand what the core competencies are. And so I've always found myself as a real estate professional having to differentiate myself and create a contrast between the title that I hold and the way that I perform or the way that I do my job. And I think the same thing is true now as a coach. I scream from the mountaintops that I'm an ACC coach through the ICF. I scream from the mountaintops that I'm affiliated with the ICF, that I'm a professional coach, because as long as I can create a contrast between what everyone else is doing, and especially if the public thinks that is not very valuable, if I can differentiate myself from the thing that they don't think is valuable and create an awareness of what I'm doing that's different from that low bar, then I can use the low bar to elevate what I do. And so I just want to throw that out there as well.
Thank you, Eric. I think that the bottom line of this topic here is for all of us as we evolve as a profession to be very proud of the group that the industry that we belong to, all the work that we as the ICF have done throughout these years and these decades to elevate our profession and to embody. Let's not be shy of it. Embody this process, embody our education, embody our certification process, embody these competencies, embody the ethical guidelines that we have. A lot has been done to elevate this profession that is emerging, that is brand new, that is a little baby. And you are a part of this profession. You are a part of the foundation, the early years of this profession, and you are creating this profession every day with your clients, participating in groups like this. I encourage you, if you are not associated with an ICF chapter, please engage with an ICF chapter. Actually, we have at least one president of an ICF chapter here in the room. So thank you very much, Ms. Robin Stuber, by being the ICF chapter of ICF Hawaii. And I don't know if we have other ICF presidents here or ICF board members. Thank you for the work that you do, because, chapters are crazy work. It's volunteers, lots of coaches, lots of opinions, but an important and crucial aspect of this process. We not only ICF chapter, engage with the profession. Just by being here is wonderful. Commit to being a part of the community, because the more you are a part of the community, you get more confidence. We are building this profession and we are evolving on this profession. Okay. Shall we move to another point here as far as ICF? Oh, just current president-elect Robin. You're there already. Like when is president effective? When are you going to be effective?
January.
Oh, January. Couple of months. Thank you so much. Another point that is, and it was the very first thing when I asked you a question at the beginning of our conversation here today about the evolution of coaching, is the topic of AI, artificial intelligence, and how artificial intelligence is affecting or being a part of the coaching conversation. So where are we going to start with this AI movement that we have, not only in coaching, but in the world?
I have a little story to share. And I'm guessing that probably many of you out there have had this experience, but I just had a friend send me an email 2 days ago telling me how blown away she was by going to ChatGPT and querying it to be a coach for her around something that she was trying to decide on. And she had to email me because she said she was so impressed with ChatGPT because it had helped her through these questions to reach some kind of decision that she felt happy about. And my initial reaction was to feel a little bit defensive around it. And so the very next day, I read an article about how coaches are being defensive around AI and how we're, kind of pushing back and saying, oh, AI will never replace a human coach and all of this stuff, and how we need to think differently. But then since we're talking about competencies, in my mind, I'm thinking it's going to so raise the bar for for us coaches that we really, really have to hone our skill, because AI may do an initial, ice-breaking kind of an experience for people, but we're really the only ones who will be able to coach the human in all these dimensions of what a human is. And so I don't, I am of the belief that AI will never truly replace a human coach. But on the other hand, I do believe that AI will probably be giving the impression that it's doing just as good a job
Yeah.
as we are.
You mentioned wonderful points here, Robin. Let me emphasize a couple of things. Yes, AI is happening. It's not in the future. It is happening. There are many programs there that are working with AI. If ChatGPT is one, but there are other programs, and people are with avatars where it feels like that you are talking with another human being. And it's very well known in the industry as well that AI is already coaching at ACC level, right? At the first level of certification with the ICF. Yes, which means, I love your point there, Robin. It's up to us. It pushes us into, okay, I need to keep up, because otherwise the robot is going to come and be coaching at the same level that I am coaching. So what can I do to improve my skills and improve this connection that I make with my client in a way that truly supports them at a much deeper level than, at least for now, AI is bringing to the table. Let's go. More hands here. Kia.
Yeah, so I coach within an organization, and we are actively being asked to incorporate AI to develop points of view with it. And so because we are being asked to just kind of upskill across the board, I myself have just been playing around with it and different versions of it. I'm playing with Copilot and with some other platforms just to see like what does it know about ICF core competencies. And so the prompts that I will use are, okay, as an ICF core competency, how would you coach me on X? And I have gotten some really beautiful, amazing, thought-provoking prompts where I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I think of those prompts? So I mean, I'm getting some amazing prompts, but it's also asking me, how can I help you plan for these sessions? So I've actually used some of the content that AI has given me in terms of helping me prepare for sessions just generally, but then also I'm using it to help guide me on specific issues that my clients are bringing to sessions. So I can see how people might think that AI might replace a coach, but at the very least right now, we know, or I have seen firsthand how it can help me up level my coaching sessions. But then also, I'm asking my clients to use AI to process and to work through things that are coming up in coaching. I'm asking them to use AI to, there might be things that my clients want to present or refine on themselves. And I'm asking them to use AI to give them new, better, enhanced language that they can use to further deepen their knowledge about what has come up in coaching sessions.
Fabulous. And Kia, it's not just for coaches and how you are going to support your client. I have heard from my mentees, coaches going into ChatGPT or another bot or something and asking, how could I have improved my coaching session? And put in the transcript, and then ChatGPT comes with a bunch of other questions to ask. So a lot of improvement of questions. So even for mentor coaching, AI is helping a lot with transcript and assessing a session if the session is parsing through PCC markers or ACC bars and things like that. There is a lot happening there as well. If any of you who have worked with me as a mentor, you know that my point is not about the questions that you're asking, but the mindset that is happening behind those questions, and that AI is still not quite there. but definitely offering lots of wonderful and positive questions to ask for sure. Zoe.
Hey, yeah, I've been using ChatGPT quite a bit, and I think the skill that it has, why it can be a masterful coach, is that it doesn't bring its own baggage in. So it understands humans very fully, but it is not human. So it naturally has the detachment that we don't necessarily have coming in as a coach, which is when I come in as a coach, I have all of my history, my baggage, and the lens that I see through. And so it's able to bypass that because it has access to so much information and ways that people think and talk. And I think it can be extremely brilliant. I think like every other profession, I think like AI is, yes, it's going to replace certain things. Yes, it's going to profoundly change certain things. And that change can have an opportunity to think of things in a different way. Like AI might be, like for me, I will use AI if I'm struggling in the day, and it'll often be better than a person, but I'm still going to seek out people for certain things. I'm still going to seek out that connection. I'm not going to, so that connection. So is like in terms of like how we market or how we approach the profession, it might be that being open to how are we going to shift in a way like or hone in on what is it that we're doing, what are we offering, and recognizing AI is really good at these certain tasks. But that, yeah, so I think every profession is grappling with this right now.
The whole world is grappling with AI. What are we going to do with this new technology there for sure? I love your point about the human and this idea that what we offer our clients is much more than a profound question. This idea that what we offer our clients is another individual, is another person, another beating heart in front of them. If we look at coaching from a solutions-based transactional aspect of I have a situation, I'm struggling here today and I need an answer. Yes, AI may be brilliant into creating a question that is going to support that person or ourselves into shifting our perspective. However, if we are really looking into human development, the connection with another person, the bias, the perceptions, the all of the history that the coach brings to the coaching conversation. We are humans, and that plays a beautiful, beautiful part in coaching, right? This idea that a coach is absolutely 100% a blank page. I better just talk with ChatGPT. I want to talk with someone who has a beating heart. I want to talk with someone who has experience. I want to talk with someone who has a point of view, who has different ways of looking at the world. I want to talk with someone who is a living person, and that will enrich my perspective because it comes not only from a completely unbiased question, but it comes from someone who has the experience of being human. Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Oh, we have a bunch of hands, and we have still one more topic that we want to cover here today. Cindy.
My concern with AI is confidentiality and privacy. And so I can't seem to separate, like, how does it fit into us having to hold a space for confidentiality? If we're taking a transcription from a coaching session, as long as the names aren't in there, I guess that's a form of privacy. But that's a lot of personal information that some people really feel they're in this trusted space that we are holding with them. And But I've also learned that there's different gadgets that are coming out really quick right now. People are wearing like smartwatches. They're not smartwatches. They are 100% 24/7 AI transcriptors. And so everywhere we go, we have our smartphone that's taken info, but now we have these transcribers that are being used. I'm really concerned about what are people doing with information? And if we're having these conversations, where are they going? What if you decide you're not going to coach 5 years from now? Where are the files? Like what's happening? So that's my big still fear around AI.
And your concern is very tremendously legitimate, and it is part of the conversation, and it is part of the evolution of coaching, including the utilization of these tools. How are ethical, not only confidentiality, but ethical issues going to be addressed here? Like I say, the privacy is something of the past. Like nowadays, everybody knows everything that I'm doing. It's almost like I gave up on my privacy. I don't know. That's another conversation. But so what happens to the privacy of the client and ethical issues in general is part of the conversation that we need to be very mindful of. Please engage in the conversation, engage with these points of view, because this is very strong. Mark, Eric, and then we're going to move to another topic.
I just wanted to, I'll keep mine very brief, but there's a book that I read called Co-Intelligence. I'll put it in the chat here. But I think the approach that this professor outlines is that you should be embracing all parts of your life with AI in one hand and then your brain in the other, and kind of figuring out where it fits and kind of see it as a companion to yourself rather than a threat, right? Then there's a lot of great things that probably help you run your practice better, but there's also things that you're gonna run into. But just wanted to leave that book reco. It's an easy read, and it's fairly entertaining. I've been on an AI quest. I went to an AI conference where it was all just people talking way far out there things, but it's scary, but it's moving really fast and you can't ignore it. It's not going to go away. So if you view it as a threat, then you'll get run over.
100%. Recently I heard someone say that, when calculators were introduced, when calculators became the technology, and then students started bringing calculators to the classroom, we were like, no, this is horrible, cannot use this. But now we learned how to use calculators in education and support the educational process of the student, right? So this person was giving the same, this as an analogy to AI. Right now is, oh my gosh, no AI, blah, 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 and feeling fearful of it. How can we integrate? How are we going to learn how to utilize the tool to benefit our growth as humanity and our growth as a profession, the evolution of our profession? And I don't know if anyone knows the future, right? What is to come. So let's see what happens there. Eric, how are you going to close this AI conversation here?
I'll just say, I'll be very, very quick. I use AI a lot in building things that I build as a coach and in real estate. But I think just like in real estate, coaching is very, very similar. And you look at our core competencies, evokes awareness and cultivates client learning and growth. Those are things that I think require the one person to communicate with another person, because at least the way that AI works right now, there's a lot of bias. It tells you what you want to hear. You take from it what you want to hear, and it just perpetuates every other reason why people need coaches in their lives, because to get out of those things that you listen to more than others and without being challenged. And that's why we're here. And I think that AI actually creates an environment, at least right now, that requires someone like us in people's lives.
Thank you so much. One of the tenets that we have at Prime Coaching Academy, actually our tenet number one, is coaching is a human to human experience. And we abide by it. And there is something about the human-to-human connection that is unique about the coaching process. And we can talk about that when we are in our coach training program. Talking about this before I move briefly into our last topic here, I'm mindful of time. Pay attention, stay tuned to your email, because very soon we are going to open our registration for our level 1 and level 2 cohorts beginning at the first couple of months in 2026. So keep that in mind, because our next cohorts are coming, and we would love to have you either at level 1 or at level 2 starting at the beginning of 2026. And mark your calendars for Prime Hour next month. And Amy, when is our next Prime Hour? So let's make sure that we have that in your calendar so that you're here and chatting with us as well. While Amy is looking for the date, I want to introduce one quick topic here, which is the parallel practices. The evolution of coaching. As coaching is evolving, we also have other practices that are in parallel with coaching and also growing. You've probably heard of motivational interviewing. You probably heard of appreciative inquiry. You probably heard of positive psychology. All of these practices and many more are growing simultaneously with coaching. Motivational interviewing has so much research done, and they are practices that are very similar to coaching. I do believe that we can learn tremendously from these parallel practices and be able to enrich the coaching practice, enrich what we do in coaching, enrich what coaching is by learning from these other practices. So this is a very positive aspect of coaching. There is a lot of cross-pollination happening within these practices, and I would encourage you all to pay attention to what is happening with all of these practices, because we can learn a lot about coaching. At the same time, there is something that we need to be mindful of, because since coaching is going full circle here, since coaching is a self-regulated profession, and a lot of people call themselves coaches, and a lot of people just believe that just because they have degrees and experience in other professions, they believe that they already know what coaching is. In this cross-pollination, there are some conversations that are perhaps not emphasizing the coaching mindset, and perhaps diluting the power of coaching. So it's something that, as we evolve as a profession, for us to pay attention to, especially when we're listening to other people, and you're listening to reading books or whatever other people are talking about. Pay attention. What is the level of understanding that this particular person has, even with all of the degrees that they might have in another profession? What is their full understanding of coaching as the profession of coaching? Is very important for us to be mindful of. It's not that we are going to negate what the other person is saying, because we may be able to learn from the other, but it's important for us to make sure that we understand the distinction and what is the level of understanding of the speaker. Make sense what I'm saying? We have a couple of more minutes, and I wonder if anyone has a comment about this particular idea of the parallel practices. So pay attention, because there is a lot happening in our profession, in the growth of our profession. When you get an email from the ICF, because the ICF is probably going to be sending an email with the new ICF Core Competencies, make sure that you're going to read that and notice what the profession is evolving, and continue to have a conversation. If you have not shared your contact information in the chat, please do. Your LinkedIn profile, so that we can connect with each other and continue the conversation. And Amy put the date for our next Prime Hour, October 7th at 10 a.m., everyone. So make sure that you put this on your calendar so we can continue the conversation here. Any final words?
Keep on keeping on.
Go humans. Go.
Kristen, thank you so much. Yes, Zoe.
humans.
Listen, I'm gonna throw something in the room for those of you who are worried about AI. I have a well on my property. That's where we get our water. And I just read some articles this morning that some of these data centers are sucking all the water out of the ground. So I don't know how much longer AI is going to be around. I'm going to have to choose between AI and thirst. I don't know.
Humans.
Oh my gosh. I hope not. I hope that I will still have my water to drink. Anyways, everybody, thank you so much for the conversation. And I will see you next month. Take good care.